All right. Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back as we prepare ourselves for some fun earnings today. Good afternoon, Peter. Good afternoon, Jared. How are you guys today?
Good afternoon. I am
Good afternoon.
fantastic. Thank you.
We
Good,
are
man.
doing
Good.
great.
Excellent. So glad to hear that. All right, friends, we're going to be preparing for a couple of earnings today. We have three main ones that are the big guys in the room today. It's going to be Amazon, Pins. I'm sorry, not Amazon. That's tomorrow. I'm reading tomorrow's stuff here. We're actually preparing for Thursday stuff, excuse me. Today we have Google, AMD, and Chipotle. Those are the three for today that we're going to be watching. Obviously, I'm looking forward to these. It's going to be a lot of fun because, again, we know Google's probably going to crush it. But I'm more interested out of all these three, AMD. Like, what is AMD up to, Peter? This is your baby, which you watch every single day. I'm not sure. Are you still doing that? Are you still watching this one every single day?
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm surprised it's gone up as much as it has today. But every dog has its day, so
Yeah.
it's back, which is okay.
Yeah, yep, absolutely. Should be a lot of fun going into this one. Again, I think out of all the AI companies, this is one that's somewhat's been struggling. Like it has not really taken advantage of the great moves that AI can provide for us. But it is here today. It's doing some stuff, and we'll see where how it ends up. Looking forward to it. Um, Jared, there's obviously three. You have a favorite today that you're looking at? What's your plans?
As far as trading into the earnings, I'm thinking AMD is going to be a little easier to manage, but Alphabet and Google, that thing can really move. Chipotle, we've traded a few times post earnings. It's not bad, but it's kind of hit or miss. So I think as far as focal points, definitely AMD. And you have to look at Alphabet and at least give it a shot somewhere. So.
Yeah, yeah. I could not agree with you more on that. Peter, let's get to some stuff. We got three to cover today. Let's start with the big one. Obviously, Google is the headliner. A lot of people love Google. Big company, obviously, has been crushing it, hitting all-time highs today prior to earnings. So already
Yeah.
showing some signs of some positive movement at the moment. Maybe some preemptive stuff happening here. We know they're always in the news for some kind of lawsuit. I just saw another one coming out recently. It's like every day there's a new lawsuit for Google or some new antitrust stuff going on. We saw the stuff with the tariff as well, right? China wants to now play some games with back and forth with Trump about some tariff and blocking them in China or whatever the case may
Right.
be. But what do we have here? What's the latest and greatest?
So Google, yeah, let's start right there because that's the most recent news. Google got targeted by China, really as a retaliatory, I don't know, event. And China's really gone sort of, stroke for stroke. If you that doesn't sound right, hit for hit, event for event, call it what you want. Anyways, with the U.S., where everything that the U.S. put a tariff on or targeted, China sort of said, "Well, we're just going to retaliate in kind." So we got an escalating tariff war going on. The tariff, this isn't really a tariff, but the U.S. said they were going to look at the restriction of chips and technology to China and maybe strengthen those limitations. And as such, then China said, fine, so we're going to open a probe into Google and Google's activities in China. So, it's a little unfortunate. Now, what will it mean? I mean, in the short term, we don't know. It doesn't, I think, mean anything particularly, and it doesn't seem to have a direct impact on their business, unless, of course, they decide to restrict the use of Google or impose a large fine. Remember that in Russia, there was a big fine put against it was Google, wasn't it? Where there was like some insane fine that was put them that basically they just abandoned the market and said, "All right, fine, you can fine us like $1 trillion, and we're just never going to pay it. We just won't come back to to Russia. So, in any event, I don't think we're going to get that far here on Google, but it's one of those things that may be a weight on the stock. We'll see. I actually was trying to find a little bit earlier, and this would be great if anybody out there knows. I was trying to find what percentage of their revenue are actually driven out of the region, and that wasn't something that I could actually identify. So I don't know what the overall impact might be, but it's something to keep an eye on because, of course, as we head into earnings, it's not about what's happening today, right? It's about the expectation of what's going to happen in the future. And that's really what we're looking forward to. Now, if we look back to last quarter, we can sort of see on the daily chart, if we scroll backwards there a little bit, Carlos, that we've had some movement on Google. And as we can sort of see, like we've been going up for, yeah, there you go. Helps sort of see back a few months there. We've had movement in the stock over the last while, and a lot of sort of gap up and gap down type movement as different events have hit. That being said, look at how we've been sort of just trending up over the last couple of months, ever since well, I was going to say the end of the year, but really it was the beginning of December when we were in this sideways range. And then it was really at the beginning of 2025 when we really looked like there was just a little bit more interest in pushing higher. Then it looked like we were falling off again. And now here we are. Look, 206 at the current price. And Google is actually looking pretty good for me coming into this earnings. So, we'll have to see we're literally right at 206 right now. So it'll be interesting to see where we choose to go with this earnings session, right? I mean, Google's, always highly anticipated. Keep in mind their business model has them bringing revenue from a lot more sources than the typical company we look at. So like we don't look at a lot of companies were looking at subscriber numbers or number of users or their client base. It's a lot harder to do in Google because of the way they generate their revenue and how the company gets reported. So I guess officially we keep calling it Google. That's because it's their ticker symbol. Officially, we're really looking for the earnings on Alphabet Corp. But I think Jared will probably talk, not about the corporate structure, but really about what the expectation is on this overall earnings. So really, I'm like really, I don't know what to expect. You know how I always say I'm surprised? Nothing would surprise me on Google. So, I don't know what to expect. I really don't.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be interesting. It's a big one, one out of the Magnificent Seven. As we wind up here, I think the only one left out of the Magnificent Seven to report is it Nvidia. I think everybody else has done their part. I'll have to confirm that, but I think Nvidia's the big one.
We have
And
Amazon
Amazon,
too.
yes,
Coming
yes,
up.
we have Amazon. Yep.
So.
So that should be fun. Jared, expected moves. What are we looking to see here?
All right. So, starting off with Alphabet, and yes, we are going to be looking specifically at the Class A share listing. There technically are two listings for Alphabet Corporation. One is Class A, one is Class C. And I went into the details of that into the chat room. One has more voting rights and typically is viewed as more of a long-term product. Our shorter-term traders are going to be more focused in the Class A offering, which is with the L at the end of the ticker. So as we are looking at Google on the chart, we observe, of course, that it is breaking out. So technicals are very bullish. We're sitting right at the all-time highs as of this session. And our expected move has been priced at approximately $13, higher or lower. As a quick reminder, for anyone who maybe didn't catch some of the previous sessions, the expected move is coming from our option chain. So we're just going to be taking a quick look at the implied volatility of the stock, moving right into the earnings event, and using the weekly option series to kind of determine plus or minus what the volatility should be. It gives us a really good idea of targets, and theoretically, it's how risky the stock is proposing itself to be. So you'll notice on my screen at the upper top end, we should be seeing a plus or minus 13 on this option chain. And what that means for this particular stock is about 6% higher or lower as far as performance. Y'all had kind of called out some of the previous earning gaps, and I think most of those are going to be in line with this type of volatility. I was taking a quick glance at some of our more recent gaps in this product, and we have some that are anywhere from 6 to 7% higher, which at the time was about a $12 move to the upside. We had a approximately 5% drop, which was $8 lower at the time. And then one of our earlier earnings periods back in April of last year, we actually gapped up about 11%. So that was probably our best move to the upside that we've seen on the stock, probably a beat on earnings and expected move readings. So I would say the stock is characteristically going to follow the expected move. A plus move to the upside of $13 should put it in range of approximately 220. So 220 would be a great upper target, especially in its technical configuration. If we do decide to move back down, we are moving back into the trading range that we just came from. And that would put it right in the middle, somewhere around 195 would be ideal. Maybe as low as 192, just to get that full 13. So we have some technical areas to consider, but everybody's looking for kind of similar movement to what we just saw with some of the AI stocks this week. I'm kind of looking at PLTR as the bellwether, so I'm definitely looking more for the upside swing.
Yeah, it should be fun. Well, the DeepSeek stuff going on. This one got affected a little bit. You could see that there, but didn't drop a whole lot like some other ones that we saw, like Nvidia, right? Nvidia definitely taking a bigger hit on that DeepSeek news as we continue to get again more information on that. Still so new on what they're actually, how they're providing their data, and how they're getting it. Peter, next one on the list that we have here. Good and also good afternoon. Brian is also joining us. Brian, good to see you. Another one we have on here
Afternoon.
on deck is AMD, your good buddy AMD. So again, we haven't seen much action towards the upside on them. There's Peter's AMD trading profile. Talk to us about AMD and some of the stuff that's happening with them.
I'm
That's
on
awesome.
mute. Yes, there
There you
we
go.
go. I decided that's my new. That's who I am now.
Avatar.
Um,
Let's call it your avatar. Trading avatar.
yeah, yeah.
Looks
All right, so
looks
yeah,
very
AMD, my
entertaining.
buddy. Look, coming into play here ahead of earnings, as we can see clearly, AMD has been doing two things very notable for me, anyways, over the last well, really 2 quarters, 6 months or so. One, its trading range has diminished significantly, meaning it's just not trading as big a range or as aggressively as it had been a while back. You can sort of see how the volume has dropped off since about I say the end of the summer last year, the overall trading volume. Now, it still trades good volume on a daily basis, but not the same active volume. And somewhere around August, maybe September, so like end of August, early September, I noticed a significant change in its profile, where it felt like the volume and the interest as a trading stock moved from it to Nvidia more actively. Nvidia's just been seeing a great more volume over the same period of time, and AMD is, I don't know, is sort of like an also ran. You can see how the daily candles got a little smaller, the range got tighter, the volume dropped just a little bit, about 20 or 30%, enough that it really sort of put it a little bit out of play. Now, I haven't given up on it totally, right? It's still my good buddy, and I have to pay attention to it. That being said, what also happened, then the second thing that I noticed that happened sort of in a corresponding time frame, is that AMD got very quiet on the news front. There has been no information released from the company. They've been very, very sort of out of the news cycle, whereas before they were making product announcements, their executive were out speaking at conferences and seemed to get a little more press coverage. To me, that's the latter is more of a cause for concern. That usually when a company goes quiet, it's an indication that either they're having some management challenges inside or operational things that they're really struggling to deal with, and they go quiet. Or frankly, they're feeling very behind in the market, and they're afraid of the questions about what are you doing in R&D and investment and driving new growth, especially in the segment when you've got the hottest company in the world in Nvidia over the last little while. Perhaps that's arguable, but maybe not by much. I don't know. Jared, do you argue with that statement? The hottest trading company, maybe I should say. But anyway.
Yeah, it's hard to argue with that. Yeah.
Yeah. So when your biggest competitor, Nvidia, is sort of dominating the market cycle, right? It's sort of hard to get on top of that news cycle. But they've been, to my mind, remarkably quiet. That being said, this month they have had a couple of downgrades from various analyst industries, which leading into this earnings, I think makes people a little concerned about what they may say. Again, it's going to be an interesting earnings announcement to see whether they have a good profitable quarter as have their competitors and their peers in the industry, or if they're going to see trouble. Oh my God, I can't talk. See some trouble. Based on the price action today, though, it looks like people are positioning for a little bit of a pop up here as AMD is getting a positive move. So really, they've got to hit all the keywords, right? They've got to talk about AI strategy. They've got to avoid saying that they've gone all in on quantum. They're not going to do that, by the way. That's just me throwing stuff. But definitely, people are going to hear how they're continuing to invest in the segment and how, they're still going to be relevant, or perhaps even more relevant in the era where you've got the deep seeks out there that could be driving significantly cost competitive AI type solutions. So we'll see what happens. This is a great opportunity for AMD to get out of this low level that it's been in and this almost continual sell-off for the last 4 or 5 months. So I'm eager to see a move to the top side, but I'm cautiously optimistic. And look, I don't often say I'm looking for a top side move on things, but for AMD, I'm hoping. But I'll be ready either way. I may actually trade this because I do like trading AMD on earnings.
Peter, was that your 1 to 10 strategy alarm going off there?
You heard that, did you? Yes, it
I
was,
did.
absolutely. So that was telling me it's time for me to make a decision on what I want to trade. So yeah, I'm about to take a look here
Awesome.
and figure out
Let us know
what I
if you
can
join
take.
something. Uh, Peter, sorry, Jared. So let's.
Uh-oh.
Oh, yep.
Where'd you,
We lost
where'd you
a
go, Carlos?
little bit of audio
We lost
Oh,
Carlos.
sorry,
disconnect
I'm
there.
back. Yeah, I'm back. Yeah, so we just want to
All right.
AMD expect the moves. What do you think?
Yeah. I kind of agree with Peter. I'm hoping for some bottom fishing here and maybe a pop to the upside, but AMD is pricing about plus or minus 11. So we have about $119 stock right now. It's had a pretty good session to the upside. So I am hoping that maybe we've got some scouting bulls looking for that move as well. Implied volatility suggests that's about a 9% move for AMD. And when we look at the technical chart, I've actually got it on a 4-hour just to kind of smooth out some of the candles. We can kind of see that we're reclaiming a trading range that we've been in maybe over the past month or two. So ideally, a move to the upside brings us right back to local resistance, and that's about 127 to 128. That would complete, the $10 objective, maybe even as far as 130. That technically would be the full move. If we move back down, the most recent lows are basically still in focus. $10 lower would put us right back down to the lowest low that we have currently. So we kind of have our technical objectives already marked on AMD. Most of the positioning today is bullish, but there's still a ton of put buying relative to the past 5 trading days. And that still implies a lot of hedging activity and maybe some, at least short-term, concern that this could still drop to lower prices. So I wouldn't necessarily say there's a skew bullish. I think there's more just a bias in this case because we do want to see one of our favorite stocks return back into sort of the limelight. Plus, if AMD keeps dropping, Peter will have to take a shot when it crosses 100, and I'm sure he doesn't want to do that just yet. So
Does it have to be a shot? Can I just take a drink of maybe some scotch or something? Can I do that?
you
'Cause
make
I
the
wanna do
rules.
that.
You make the
All
rules
right.
for the game. We're just
All
players.
right then. Okay. A
We're
drink of
just
Uh,
this.
observers.
that's it.
Yeah.
AMD
Oh
right now
yes.
showing all day it's been showing a
Oh yes,
little bit
baby.
of some green action. Peter, are you in something right now?
Yeah, active trading here. My signature 1 to 10 trade, which I'm taking on Microsoft. Microsoft had a good pull down with a little extra volume right at the 10-minute mark. I've got a pop now. I'm about 50 cents into this trade here. It's up back at VWAP. You can sort of need a 1 minute chart to see the move, but you can see the drop and then the pull back
Yeah,
up. So
yeah.
I got it near the bottom of that candle, stop just below it. Followed the strategy. Here we go. It's looking
All
good.
right. Looking really, really good right now. Another one we have on deck today, guys, and again, been on the news and making a lot of noise with the what's going to actually be very affected by the tariff on Mexico, right? Because avocados, 90% of avocados, I believe, from in the U.S. come from Mexico, right? Has grown a ton and over the last couple of years. It wasn't like there was like under 40, but now it's pretty high. Everything comes from there. That would obviously affect the stock. The stock bounced back pretty well on that news, and today showing some strength, right? A lot of the stocks are in the green, but this one heading into earnings also showing some positive stuff. Um, Peter, how are we doing here? Are the avocados safe? Are we good for the avocados for at least another 30 days?
Well, you know what? I mean, for 30 days, maybe it feels like it, right? So there's been a reprieve to both Mexico and Canada with the news yesterday. Came at different times of the day. Mexico came midday, and what's fascinating is you can see it right in the entire market. Pretty much everything moved. Whether you watch the market indices or a lot of the large sort of bellwether stocks, they all moved very similarly. So, yeah, like who knows? 30 days from now, right? We get to play the game again. Now, that being said, there has been precedent that we may not last the full 30 days, right? It really depends on whether the current executive branch administration in the office feels that both both Mexico and Canada are meeting the requirements that were put forth and the things that they agreed to. I say that because, look, this is just us talking between us friends here, but Canada committed to have 10,000 troops on the border. I don't know where we're getting them from. I don't think we have 10,000 troops lying around. Like we don't even have
Peter
100,000
didn't.
people in our entire military in Canada. In
It could
fact,
be, Peter, that
Peter,
you
didn't
haven't
you?
got the
Didn't
letter yet. You and Brian have not received the
I
letter
was just gonna say, Peter,
asking you to report.
you didn't get your letter yet. I just got
yeah,
my letter, and
did you?
I just
You've
got a
been
call
drafted
into action.
already? Yeah, okay.
Yes, yep,
Well,
I'm drafted
yeah,
into
maybe that's
earnings.
what's happening. Look, if I'm not here next week talking to you, it's because I'm toting a gun as a border guard, watching for fentanyl traffickers. So
Good luck,
We
maybe
all
I
got to
can
do our
find to
part,
get the
Peter.
other job. Oh my God, look at this Microsoft. Sorry, I got to take another partial here. Microsoft.
Yeah, do what you have to do.
Maybe I can get the other job. I want to be the fentanyl czar. I don't even know what that means, but apparently that's a role that we're putting in place. So maybe I can get that government
Yeah,
role.
Yeah, that sounds great.
you
Jared,
can be a czar.
Jared, as far as
Yeah.
expected move for I was gonna say CMG here, Chipotle, what is on deck for these guys today?
All right. So the expensive avocado stock is looking at about plus or minus 5 for the expected move. And keep in mind this is about a $59 product as of today. So we're kind of viewing this more from performance perspective, but a $5 move higher would put it right back to some of the December highs, kind of looking closer to 65 if we get a nice move to the upside. $5 lower would put it pretty much at the swing lows of November last year, and it almost puts this whole area under contention because we have a bit of a head and shoulders kind of look for this area if we start approaching 55 or lower. So plus or minus 5 for expected. And as I was mentioning, the volatility on this one, I usually find comes out better the following day. But I remember taking one or two overnight trades on this one more recently, post split, because this used to be a stock that was much, much more expensive per share. So we've really only been talking about this one in the $50 or $60 ranges over the past 2 quarters. So that makes it a lot easier to trade, and obviously it makes the move a little bit, more manageable from a share price perspective. So.
Yeah, that's a good point. I forgot about that. This stock was like $2,000 or something. It was right next to Amazon, I believe. I don't recall the exact price,
This,
but it was a
yep,
pretty hefty tag.
yeah,
And the split has made it easier for us to trade, more volume, which is important for us to read the price action. So it really has helped a lot. Because you're right. Prior to the split, we never really talked about it. Just like Amazon, we knew about it. We know what's going on, but it was not really a trading stock. We used to call that one the mortgage ticker, right? It was so expensive, and the
right.
volume just wasn't there. It was not cost effective to trade that thing with your number of shares. So yeah, I agree with that.
And remember, that was a 50-to-1 share split. So it used to be
Wow.
3,200 per share, at least at the top
Yeah.
end. So
Yeah,
it was a big split.
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah.
Uh,
It used to be
It
a
was a
very
big
high
one.
price stock. So.
yeah. But yeah, guys, just a few minutes away here from the close. Peter, you are in your trade. How is that going for you on Microsoft?
Fantastic. We got it's pulling back now a little bit, but we got a great look at that great spike up on Microsoft. So 20-cent risk. By the way, guys, if you ever trade with Bearable Traders, we have a number of strategies. Everybody's got their own. This just happens to be one of mine. Where some days it works and some days it doesn't. This just happens to be a day where it works. But my 20-cent risk has given me, the ability to get partials that are at like 7, 8 times my initial risk. So I'm pretty happy right now as I've managed to lock in about I don't know, about 5 or 6 times my original risk, and I still got about 20% of my size left to see what happens.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. Yeah, bearable.com. You can sign up with a trial, which is pretty inexpensive. It should have been free, but again, we got to keep the robots out, the bots. So
Yeah.
it's $1. You get it for a week, and you can see there are 25 strategies now. So a few more strategies by Avi, Brendan, Megan, and also our good buddy Sean. There's 25 strategies now that you can get basically for free. All right.
I'm gonna
Yeah.
take my winnings. I'm gonna go buy myself some extra guac on my Chipotle, I think.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
market's about 10 seconds from close too, so we should be
Yeah.
seeing
Oh shoot!
Alphabet
Thank you.
first. Yeah.
Okay.
Here we go. Diddly doodly.
All right.
If you
Eyes on
got 'em,
Alphabet.
smoke
Let's
'em.
see where it goes.
I'm out. Excellent. Good trade.
Yeah, there you go. Nice, Peter.
Yeah,
To
good
the
job, man.
earnings. Thank you.
Okay, here we go.
All right. Let's see the
Like I say, if
action.
you got 'em, smoke 'em.
That's a great saying. Love it. Love it. Love it.
Yeah,
All
so
right.
it looks as if Alphabet's first, and then AMD at 415, Chipotle at 410. So technically, if we see movement on Alphabet, that would be the one to focus on first.
Yep. Yep. All right. We're seeing the initial calm before the storm here on Google right now. We're looking at GOOGL, but you can look at the other one as well. They both should be in play today.
Yeah.
All right, here we go. Let's see.
I
And
didn't
internet.
look. Do all the different Googles have options, or is it just one?
They
I
all
mean,
have, they both have
Yeah.
options, but the one that's more
Okay, here
heavily
we go.
traded is the one with the L.
Gotcha.
Okay, yeah. Here we go with the Google L. Google it. Google it.
the Goog L, indeed. All right, yes, getting an initial move. Not a huge move, really. It's low volume too.
Allegiant Travel is out for those that are looking for other earnings. Allegiant Travel. Is that the that's the airline, right? Allegiant. Never used them.
Has anything come out yet?
Oh, here we go.
Down drop.
There it is.
Oh,
Yep.
Wow.
That
Oh,
was a spike high, so that
yeah.
usually leads to a pretty nasty reversal.
Oh,
This is jumping all over the place
Downside,
here.
we're looking for about 195. So if you are looking short, 195.
all right. Waiting for the numbers to post here on our partner Ben Singer. Should be coming out any second now.
Pretty ugly spread on these as it's jumping around. Just be careful of
yeah.
that.
Another one that we weren't following, but Amgen did have earnings after the close here. It looks like they beat on both sales and earnings. AMGN is the ticker on that one, in case anybody's looking for that. They
And
are not,
CMG
not,
is
not as good of an
CMG is
after-hours
popping up a
trader.
bit.
Alphabet just hit 195. That's the conservative expected move target. We
All
should
right,
be
there are the
looking
Google's
for a
numbers are
reaction
out.
bounce.
Their sales missed, but not by much. Expectation was 96.65 billion. They had 96.47 billion. So we're talking, what's a couple $100 million amongst good friends. And then their earnings, though, beat by 3 cents. Expectation was $2.12. They hit $2.15. So a little bit of a mixed picture for Google. There must be some more detail in their forecasting because, they're definitely moving down through that expected range.
Yeah, that's not enough numbers for it to move the way it's moving like this downwards. But again, the outlook is what's going to be important here. So Jared, this looks like it's heading towards your numbers here.
Yeah, the expected move is proving itself to be all powerful and slightly all knowing.
Almighty. There
But
you go.
All hail the expected move.
but remember, I mean, this basically implies a 6% move from the closing price. So right now it's showing, about 5% down. Google was up today. So that loss in performance is also part of it. So
Good point.
it
Yep.
we're mostly just trying to get an idea of what number to target, what price level should we pay attention to. And it's still selling at the moment, so this is mostly just hitting objectives along the way. Not getting like scared out of a trade if you are in one.
Yeah.
And they are.
Anyone take this? I don't trade earnings, but anyone take this short in our chat? We do have our chat room here. Let me see if anybody's in this action. I know. I'm
I was
feeling
looking
FOMO
at
right
it
now.
at the spike around 207, 208, and I was thinking, I should just take a few shares short, but I did not.
Just hit 190 orders.
AMD on the move.
Oh yeah, AMD popping there.
Oh, there we go. AMD getting some action. Oh, nice. We'll wait for those numbers to come out here any second. Get posted.
Yeah, AMD's a little early, apparently.
It is.
They want to get it out of the way.
Like we saw with Google, though, you got to be careful with that early move. It can sometimes be a false positive. So,
yeah.
Falsetto.
Falsetto. I think that's.
It looks like we're recovering the DeepSeek gap initially. Over this, it would kind of open up the technicals a bit. So, assuming we're still moving up on AMD, I'm hoping this particular gap price doesn't cause any issues in the short term. AMD is one of the ones that did get hammered after that news came out, and it didn't fully recover yet. But this is its chance to shine.
Yeah, they have not been treated well by the markets here. Google right now is showing a little bit of love at the moment, so trying to get a little bit of a bounce here. Let's see if that's going to stick, if we're going to get any kind of rebound at the moment. So low as 189.40 for the Google L as we wait to see the numbers for AMD.
I don't see AMD's numbers yet. There's a few other things with earnings. I mean, it's a busy day with FMC, another company with earnings. Looks like they missed on revenue, beat on bottom line. Not a big trader here. SPG, another earnings target. So it looks like they beat top and bottom line again. Not a lot of volume. I mean, there's a whole bunch of them, right? Enphase, we probably remember that name. We haven't traded that in a while. ENPH.
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah.
The Aspen Technologies just came out. Click, KLIC. I remember seeing them a while back on our earnings.
Just
They also just came
just
out.
tried a little bit of a long on AMD or on Google, I should say.
Google, okay.
And I'm
Oh, very
just
nice.
just over 192.
Still
Just gonna
waiting to see the
sell
numbers
some of
here
it.
on AMD.
Yeah. Yeah, Google's getting a nice little bouncy. Let's
Just,
see if we can sticks. It looks very
mm,
controlled, Brian. So that's a hopefully that trade sticks for you there.
Oof.
Um,
AMD down now.
yeah.
Yeah, AMD not
Wow,
liking
AMD just dropped hard.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
deep seek gap. Definitely reacted there.
Getting
Sometimes the
no,
technical levels actually matter in earnings, so as best as possible, I at least see what's going on. Um, that wasn't really an expected move, nor was it really any particular move that I think is based on earnings. It was more just a run up into the gap.
yeah, I think the numbers are not out yet. So I think they are sticking to 410 as their time to report, like you said. But they're getting a lot of movement up and down for it to be still a couple of minutes away. So um, let's see if these guys are gonna do well
it's a
right now.
leaker.
Yeah, yeah, it
Somebody
really is.
leaked the numbers.
We're not getting great volume, so not sure. But there's always a leak. We're just not part of
Yeah.
it.
Another one with earnings here is Electronic Arts. Used to love watching them too. EA, ticker on that one. Uh, Again, not a big mover after hours typically. They looks like they beat their numbers. Also announced an accelerated $1 billion stock buyback program, so clearly signaling they feel that their stock is undervalued.
Yep. So here it is. So what happened to Google? You were asking in chat. So right now they had mixed earnings. I mean, their sales were not bad. They missed by a couple of thousand or million. It's not much. So
Just
I
selling.
think
I'm selling some more here.
nice,
193.80.
nice. We'll have to wait for the guidance. That's going to be key here. That's going to be the next big move on Google. What are they working on? How much they're spending on AI, and all that good stuff. That's going to create the second move.
Yeah.
AMD is still flat for the most part, right back to where kind of closed.
Technically, Chipotle should be next. I know you had said AMD 410. It's actually 415 for
Ah,
AMD,
thanks for
and
the correction. Yep, yep.
I'm watching Chipotle now just to see if we get the volume in about 10 seconds.
All right, here we go. So even more the reason why that thing is moving so much so early. It's interesting.
Mhm.
All right, so let's see Chipotle, the avocado stock. Whoa, okay.
Straight down.
Whoa. Yeah. The
Oh,
avocados.
Here it is.
It's
yeah.
like the avocados
Wow.
went
They're,
bad.
they're smoking them.
The avocados aren't bad.
They're,
They're brown and gross.
That was immediately $5 down.
Yeah.
Yeah. Uh,
Very, very hard to detect that one. Yeah, I'm not a fan of that because we also broke some swing lows on the daily chart in one fell swoop. So they'd have to
yeah,
really buy it back hard to prove interest here.
yeah. Let's see how these numbers
Wow.
come out.
Okay,
There
here
they
we
are
go.
here.
Earnings on Chipotle looks like they pretty much met their sales. I mean, they missed by like $28 million on a $2.8 billion revenue forecast. So that's pretty much on target. And then earnings beat by 1 penny, 24 cents as expected. They delivered a quarter. So, yeah, so not bad numbers out of Chipotle. You know what? We are joking about the avocados and, the guacamole effect, if you will. But I honestly think that there's some concern over just their business generally and the economy
mm,
overall. So Chipotle could just be taking the brunt of that. And, it's not. There's no direct impact, but indirectly, it doesn't matter, right? As long as investors are nervous, you're going to see the stock react.
I'm I'm out of Google. Obviously, it's dropping more here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
See
heading
that.
back
It looked
down.
like it was going to bounce back, but didn't quite. Getting a little bit of bounce on Chipotle at the moment. AMD still not doing much. Volume's fallen off here a little bit again as we're waiting for numbers on it. The Snapchat just came out with their numbers, not one of the big ones that we were watching, but another one of the earnings targets for today. Looks like they missed on revenue slightly, beat on bottom line. Seems to be a common theme here: barely missing revenue and then beating on earnings.
Snap's one of those stocks that if it's not at $10, it feels like something's wrong. I usually just look at it at $10 every single year, and it's really hard to get away from that price. But looks like it's moving up right now, so we'll
Which
see
one?
how that
Snap.
Snapchat. Yeah,
Oh, on
it's been at
Snapchat. Yeah,
$10 for so long.
yeah. Snapchat's a funny stock that way, where everybody had all these high expectations for it, and like you said, I mean, it's been what 3 years now. I think it's been in this range. After during the pandemic, it took off, and then it
Hmm.
just died. Like, anyways, yeah,
Yeah,
flatline here.
Yep.
I'm sure
Not getting
one
much
day
love. It's,
it'll move out of that range, but
I'm
that
sure it
doesn't look
will.
like enough volume.
yeah, it's just
Today, anyway.
we'll
Not
see.
today, Snapchat. Not today.
Not not the day for it. Let's look at AMD here. So AMD's again continues to move. Numbers should be out in another 2 minutes. So we're getting a lot of movement here. No volume, not big volume just yet. So we'll see where that goes. And then Gooch is kind of back a little bit, not all the way to the low after hours, which is at 189.40, but you are getting some back and forth movement. So we'll see how that goes. And then Chipotle's bouncing back because I'm with you, Peter. The
Hmm.
numbers they were not bad. They were in line for the most part. So, but I
Hmm.
agree there's probably some avocado concerns there going into what's
It's
been
the
happening.
the so-called avocado effect. Actually, nobody's calling that, but
The
let's try and coin it. I think we've been
Why
joking about
not?
avocados for
yeah,
2 days now. We're going to call it the avocado effect.
Yeah, gonna get some avocado emojis for a pre-market show tomorrow. That should
Uh,
be a lot of fun. Um, all right, let's
we're
look at
just,
AMD.
like,
That should be coming up any minute now, 4:15. And Jared, our move on this one, remind us.
About plus or minus 11. So probably about
yeah.
130 to 110 ideal. I'm hoping for something a little bigger, but those are going to be conservative.
More earnings while we're waiting, still coming out on all sorts of different companies. Mattel, another company I typically look at occasionally. MAT looks like they beat top and bottom line. So good for everybody out there buying all your Barbie stuff.
All right, here we
I
go.
was
Let's
always
see.
surprised that Mattel allowed that Barbie movie to be produced. It seemed like it wasn't favorable towards. I mean, it was great branding for Barbie. It was not good look on Mattel executives.
All right, let's see how
You
it
know, you're
goes.
not. You know, they're going to make fun of your executive team when they cast Will Ferrell as your CEO.
True.
hmm.
Crashed.
Although my
All on
wife just
YouTube,
watched
guys,
a
if you
movie
haven't
last
done so
night.
already, hit that thumbs up. Really appreciate it. Helps us out a ton. If you enjoy these earnings that we're doing, we're back on Thursday again. We're not leaving yet, waiting for AMD, but we're back on Thursday. If you're enjoying these, hit that thumbs up. Really appreciate it. All right, here
There
we
we
go.
go.
AMD.
Yeah,
Heading north.
AMD's getting a pop higher here right now.
Yep. Starting to clear some resistance here. That is looking just about right. See if it can hold.
Yep, initial pop. Number should be out any second here on our chat.
Wow, look at all the earnings. I forgot about how many
It's a lot of
companies were
earnings.
reporting.
Yeah.
DXC, my old alma mater, I used to work, well, it wasn't called DXC when I worked there, but they're out. Juniper Networks, they're out. Come on, AMD. Let's see why you're popping.
AMD
Yeah.
is looking
What
alive
Yeah.
here.
We are
Yeah.
active. Let's see. Starting to get positioned here. 127.50 is more the range resistance, so I'm hoping we drive there initially, and then as long as the price action's stable, 130. But the journey is going to be a little tricky on some of these moves. Pulling back here pretty hard.
All right, there we go. There's the numbers on AMD.
Yeah, looks like they beat on revenue, so 7.66 billion in revenue versus a 7.5 billion estimate, and earnings were basically on target. They beat by 1 penny, $1.09 delivered versus a $1.08 estimate. So pretty much in line with AMD. That is pretty much as good news as you could expect out of this stock. They would have been punished heavily, I think, if they missed on either number. But the fact that they met the analyst expectations is good news for them. I probably also means that you're not going to see a massive move. That would be my guess, but depends on what they say on their forecast, of course.
On the call. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. Tomorrow morning should be definitely very interesting with all these three: AMD, Google, and CMG, which is Chipotle.
CMG.
And let's see if AMD is going here. Brian, do you like any of these at the moment? Are you in anything?
No, I'm not in anything. I was hoping Google would give us a little bit better of a bounce, but I managed to partial out most of it. So I'm just kind of watching right now. AMD is not looking that interesting for a quick after hour trade.
Yeah.
Yeah, I still see buying pressure, but we're already kind of balanced out. So really, it needs to get above 125 and hold it to get really interested.
Yeah, it feels like the momentum's already off that.
Yeah, the volumes are dropping a bit here.
Yeah, didn't blow it out the
They've
park, so.
Yeah, AMD's Q1 forecast looks like they're anticipating revenue in the first quarter of 2025 to be about 7.1 billion. So they're basically giving a range of 6.8 to 7.4 billion. This is pretty much in line with analyst expectations. So I don't see anything off by that, but I'm actually not sure what the analyst consensus is. That being said, that would represent about a 30% year over year. Oh my, hold on. Growth of 30% and a sequential decline of 7%. I don't know what they mean by sequential decline, I have to admit. Well, look at AMD. Didn't like
the
that
market
part
doesn't like it. Didn't like that part of the report.
Back in the hole.
Market's not keen.
Yeah, that didn't last long.
Yeah.
And the good news is over.
Yep. Put the balloons away right now, and then maybe they'll come back later.
Yeah.
This is actually looking to go flat on the session too, so I'd be looking almost at like previous day close levels, given the way it's moving.
Yeah, previous day close is 114-ish.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the way the market has worked in the last little while, like anything other than beating the guidance, beating the forecast is considered a disappointment. So
it has been that way. You're right. If you're not doing some crazy backflips on your numbers, the market's just like, you're going down, right? The expectation is kind of a little bit too rough on some of these things. So that's
it's just the way the market works these days. So
tech messed that up for us when they ran through that year, and there was just everybody's like doubling their numbers. That they messed up earnings for everybody else here. So there we go. All right, let's take a quick look, guys. So here's AMD. Here's Google's just going flat. Their costs coming up a little bit later, so we should see more action depending on what they say there. Chipotle back up. So again, overreaction
Yeah.
initially. I mean, that's just
Yeah.
again, we know. Let me see here. What's my chart? Here's the avocado projections. Let me get this out of the way for you. So it's a lot of avocados. 75%, almost 80. It's a lot. All from Mexico. So
Wow. Well, look at that.
Well,
So Mexico makes up, what is that? That's like about 85% of the U.S. avocado supply. Okay,
yeah,
there you go.
there it is. So that they got to be concerned when you have that much coming in from there, and they could be it could be taxed. Um, Alpha gap up or down on AMD tomorrow? Who knows? It all depends on this call. I mean, they're right there, right? They're just above their previous day close. Let's see what they say because, again, we've been looking at AMD for quite some time, and we've been looking at their daily. We've been talking about this. They just have not taken advantage of this AI kind of mania, right? So we're in an AI mania, and they've been going down for a long time now. It's not just recently, but the last 12 months have been pretty bad for them. So
Yeah.
we'll
I
see.
I'm a big fan of like if the stock's in a pretty well established downtrend and you try and move up and see all this selling pressure, they would have to re-establish a position of strength on the technicals. And what we just saw was a move up, but it's basically just a pullback for the daily chart. So whenever I see that selling
yeah,
pressure, it can change, but this candle, this motion doesn't give me confidence to go long. And that just means, there's no support, there's no bid support. Um,
Yeah,
so you have to be very careful with that because buying in a downtrend and selling in an uptrend are basically always fighting against the larger players, and you can get movement, but it never lasts. It's always
yeah,
temporary. So you have to be careful with your entry and your exit for both.
yeah. Let's get some questions in chat here. Let's see. When is their call? I'm not sure. Is it maybe 5 for AMD? So they're usually later. Not too late in the day, right? People want to be in bed early, but um, maybe 5 or so. Yeah, nobody's trying to stick around too long. But we'll see tomorrow what the reaction looks like. Is their stack related to ICE immigration? No, no. You'd be surprised. These smaller companies, their requirement for employment are ridiculous. I worked for Pizza Hut at one time before I got an actual job. And they asked more paperwork than my company did when I was making tons of money. They asked for tons of paper for a minimum wage job, right? So, yeah, they're not just letting anybody just work there. They have a lot of restrictions and all that stuff. So, I don't think that's going to affect them. It'll affect other sectors in the food industry, but not this one. I don't think so.
Yeah. AMD analyst call scheduled to start at 5 o'clock Eastern, so about 35 minutes from now.
AMD is
So,
now
and
flat
looking
and
looking
hitting
like
previous day close.
yeah, I was going to say it's just hitting previous day close now.
worked so hard all day to get
And
those
then
gains, and
Yeah,
give
look
it
what
all
happened.
back. Yeah.
Gave it all
Can't get
back.
away from the
Yeah.
king. The king needs his money,
King of all levels, previous day close. Love it. Love it.
even in earnings. I gotta say, Chipotle had the best reaction bounce. I wasn't expecting that kind of retracement, but Chipotle looks the best as far as grabbing it off a low. And
Yeah.
I'm
I guess,
surprised at that as well, to be honest.
yeah, it broke support, but the snapback is usually like buying pressure from the stop losses. So I'd be
Right.
curious how it opens, and if we can get it above 60, then yeah, it changes a lot about the reaction. So, but it's hard to buy when you're under established supports. You almost want to see if they're gonna pop it back first and then let it kind of set up on the support again. The daily support's somewhere around like 55, I believe. Yeah, 55. So
Yeah, and prior to this, they've been doing pretty well on the daily, so not too bad. They've been getting some some nice move. A little bit of a down to start. Actually, end of December, beginning of December, they kind of got a little drop here. But before then, if you look at it, they've been doing pretty good. All the way down to 47, back up to 66. A little drop now in the last couple of days, and just sideways for like a month now. So, what's Peter doing? Slamming on the microphone there.
He's calling AMD executives and like, why isn't the price higher?
He's calling Mexico,
Yeah.
finding out if the avocados are going to be delivered. That's what he's doing. It's a long distance call.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I think I'm going to go ahead and bow out here. I've got a couple things to wrap up for tonight's webinar.
Oh,
So-
you have a webinar tonight. What are you talking about tonight, Jared? Put us on.
So we're going to be talking about debit verticals and how to deploy them for directional option trading.
All right.
So-
What time is that? 8 p.m. tonight?
Yeah, that should be 8 p.m. Market time, so Eastern. So right in the elite webinar room.
Absolutely, friends. So definitely check
Lisa,
that out.
what's going on? I was expecting your stock to go up. Yeah, like why is AMD down? Like you're at break even here. Come on, do
Is
better.
this the CEO of a Chipotle?
Sorry, no, that was Dr. Lisa Su, the CEO of AMD. I was just calling to see what was
Lisa
happening.
Awesome.
I want you to call Alec next, the Palantir guy. Let's get him on for an interview.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's a little too crazy for me. I'm not sure I can handle that.
Yeah.
It's got the Einstein hair.
POTR is going to be fun for the next couple of days, man. This stock maintained their gap up 22%, 23 here. We're going to have a lot of fun with this one in the next coming days, so it should be good. All right, friends, let's wrap it up here. So we have AMD. AMD, look at the wick on the daily. Can you guys see this? Look at that. Pop right back down to where they opened up. It's wild, man. So I can't wait for the call and to see how this is going to end. And here's Google continue. Oh, Google's dropping some more. Google's coming back down here. So they're dropping a little bit towards that low of the after hours, and then Chipotle also dropping a little bit. This is all going to be fun. Peter, I know you're committed to your AMD.
I just have to say that there's a reason why I can call the CEO of AMD. It's the only stamp I've got. So it came with the tat. So that is of course me. Absolutely.
That is absolutely you.
Yeah.
Friends over on YouTube. Why can I trade after hours? You should be able to trade after hours, but you can't use market orders. You got to use limit orders. So you should be able to do that with interactive brokers. But sometimes it's hard to take these trades with a market order. You might not get filled. You got to need a limit order for that. All right, friends, hit that thumbs up if you haven't done so over on YouTube. And over in our chat, thank you guys for joining us. We'll be back again tomorrow, Engineering the Markets at 8 a.m. And then followed by Peter and I, then live trading, then Avi, a whole bunch of stuff like we usually do on YouTube. So stick for that. And then we'll be back for earnings on Thursday. Thursday, we have Amazon, the big guy. So look forward to that, guys. All right, Peter, anything else we might have missed?
We are good. Take care, everybody. Have a great evening. We will be back with you tomorrow morning.
All right. Brian, thanks for joining us, my friend. Have a great evening.
Have a great evening, everybody. Cheers.
Later, everyone.
Later, Jared. Thank you for joining.